In the American South, there's a glow you can see from half a mile away. A yellow sign, black letters, and a promise. Waffle House. For some, it's breakfast. For others, it's sanctuary. For many, it's the only place open when the rest of the world has given up for the night. But behind the hash browns, the jukebox, and the late-night folklore is a story that begins with two neighbors, one idea, and a belief that a restaurant should never, under any circumstances, turn off the lights. I'm your host, Stu Donald. Let's head to the Delta. The year is 1955, Avondale Estates, Georgia. Joe Rogers Sr., a veteran and short-order cook, knows the rhythm of a diner like a musician knows a song. Tom Forkner, a real estate developer, also a veteran, knows how to build things that last. Rogers tells him, "We need a place where people can get good food and fast." Forkner replies, "And we need to keep it open all day." That's it. That's the business plan. They opened the first Waffle House on Labor Day weekend. No frills, no corporate polish, just a counter, a grill, and a commitment. 24 hours, 365 days a year. The name Waffle House isn't philosophical. Waffles are simply the most profitable item on the menu. Sometimes history is built on deep meaning. Sometimes it's just built on margins. The 60s turned Waffle House from a neighborhood experiment into a regional force. New locations popped up across Georgia, each one stamped with the same DNA. A grill you can see, a staff that moves like a pit crew, a menu that reads like a contract with the working class. This is the era when the chain becomes a third place. Not home, not work, but a space in between. Shift workers, truckers, teenagers, traveling musicians, all find the same thing inside, a hot meal and no judgment. The South is changing fast in the 60s. Waffle House stays steady, open, familiar, predictable in the best possible way. By the 1970s, Waffle House had become a cultural ecosystem. The jukebox is loaded with country, soul, and the occasional oddball track. The cooks run the grill with the precision of air traffic controllers. And the hash brown system, scattered, smothered, covered, chunked, topped, diced, peppered, becomes a language of its own. This is also when the chain becomes a kind of southern Switzerland, neutral ground. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is equal at the counter. It's the place you go after a Rush concert, after a breakup, after a night out you'll never admit to. It's the place where the waitress calls you baby and the cook calls you boss, and nobody asks why you're ordering a T-bone at 3:17 a.m. In the 90s, Waffle House crosses the 1,000 location mark. The menu barely changes, the prices stay low, and the culture stays intact. Corporate America is obsessed with reinvention. Waffle House is obsessed with consistency. It becomes the unofficial dining room of the South, a place where the stories are as important as the food. Bands write songs about it. Comedians build careers around it. For weary travelers, it's a home away from home. And the late night crowd turns it into a stage where anything can happen, and usually does. Then comes the moment that cements Waffle House as a legend. In the early 2000s, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Agency, notices something unusual. Waffle House almost never closes. So they create the Waffle House Index, a real disaster response metric. Green, Waffle House is open, everything's fine. Yellow, limited menu, things are bad. Red, closed, civilization is in trouble. When the government uses your breakfast joint to measure the severity of a hurricane, you've crossed from restaurant into folklore. By the 21st century, Waffle House becomes a digital phenomenon. Phone cameras capture late-night brawls, heroic cooks, impromptu concerts, and the kind of scenes that make you ask, how is this place real? The internet turns Waffle House into a myth. But beneath the memes is the same original idea Rogers and Forkner had in 1955. Feed people, keep the lights on, treat everyone like they belong. But still, there's no getting away from the stories, the crazy fights, the weird people, and I have done my best to chronicle those in my new book, Scattered, Smothered, and Covered, which is available now for download at Amazon. Check it out. You want to know what really happens behind that counter? Why the night shift is basically a survival sport? Then check out Scattered, Smothered, and Covered for Kindle. If you've ever eaten at a Waffle House, worked at one, or survived one at 2 in the morning, this book is for you. Hit the link in the description, support the project, and welcome to Waffle House. Today, with nearly 2,000 locations, Waffle House remains one of the most recognizable and reliable institutions in America. It's where first dates happen, where last dates happen, where families gather after funerals, where strangers become friends, where the night shift finds a place that feels like home. Waffle House is more than a restaurant. It's a southern rite of passage, a cultural mirror, a 24-hour story that never stops being written. And as long as that yellow sign keeps glowing, the South will always have a place to go when the world outside feels a little too normal. You think you know Waffle House? Well, you don't. Not the real stories. I collected the wildest, funniest, most unhinged tales from the South's favorite 24/7 diner and turned them into a book. Check out Scattered, Smothered, and Covered, Sorted Tales from the South's favorite 24/7 diner. It's available on Amazon, link in the description.
Hey y'all, got time for a quick story? Once upon a time, there was somebody watching videos and they tapped on like and subscribe. The end.